What's up, fellas? In today's video, we're going to be looking back at some 2016 NBA draft grades and rankings as well over here on NBADraft.net. I like to do this on occasion because I think oftentimes we forget about where particular players are ranked, and we're going to be looking back at these, and I guess you could say we're going to be roasting them, but these things are so difficult to project, but it's still really cool to look back on and see where a lot of these players were ranked all the way back in 2016. Quickly before we get started though, my intern is going to read the rest of the intro. If you're looking for a place for consistent NBA content, then this is a great place to be. Videos twice a day, every single day on this channel. So if that's something you're looking for, then be sure to sub. You can also like the video as well, and you can check out the various socials. They're in a link tree down in the description below. With all those things said, let's go and get started with the video. Okay, with those things said, let's look at these rankings. So first couple of things to take a look at here are the big three at the top. I mean, it was Simmons, it was Ingram, and then people had questions about Jaylen Brown. They have him ranked third right here, but one of the reasons I wanted to look at 2016 first was because Jaylen Brown has been so good to begin this season. And like there were a significant amount of doubts about Jaylen Brown when he came into the league, whether he should, whether he was just kind of the de facto third pick or whether you should be super excited about him as a third pick. Of course, all three of these guys being freshmen coming in, and then Chris Dunn being kind of, the other guy here that people were excited about. The interesting thing to look at here is the fact that Ben Simmons was a 100 overall rated prospect, a pretty much perfect prospect going by this scale, and certainly, has some flaws in his game to this point, but I don't think you can argue that Ben Simmons has been a really, really good NBA player. Same thing with Brandon Ingram here, who I think you could argue as in a redraft first pick in this draft here. He was also he was a 99 overall player as compared to a 100 overall by Ben Simmons. I think if you were doing a redraft, I think you could make a significant case right now to go Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown, and then Ben Simmons. I really think that is a case you could make. I'm not saying that the order would be any different than it is right here. I'm just saying a case could certainly be made. Now, the more interesting thing is as we start to scroll down on the rankings here a little bit, right? Because Chris Dunn, of course, being the fourth best player in this class, did not work out at all. Buddy Hield, certainly a better player than Chris Dunn, but look at some of these names that are ranked ahead of someone that is playing the exact same position as them. Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris were both drafted ahead of Domantas Sabonis, and they have those two players ranked ahead of Domantas Sabonis in this draft. Both of these guys ended up in Phoenix. Sabonis ended up in Oklahoma City and then eventually in Indiana a year later. And now when you're doing this redraft, Sabonis is worst case, in my opinion, unless I'm really forgetting about someone here, is worst case the fourth best player in this class and is a really, really, really good big man. And it's just interesting that he is ranked as the 8th best player in this class over here on the site. The one right after him is interesting as well. Furkan Korkmaz, ranked as the 9th best player in the 2016 NBA draft class, ahead of Jamal Murray, DeJounte Murray, Malik Beasley. I'm sure there's more here. Jakob Poeltl, I guess. I know there's more. Karis LeVert all the way down here at number 22. Taurean Prince, Thon Maker's irrelevant here. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, also relevant. Malcolm Brogdon, all the way down here at 34. Pascal Ciaco, all the way down here at 35. And Furkan Korkmaz is ranked 9th in this draft class on this site. Again, it's very difficult to rank these things, but I just think it's interesting to look back and realize, wow, we kind of missed on that one, just a little bit, A couple of other things to take a look at here as well is kind of like some strengths and weaknesses type things, right? So like, why was Furkan Korkmaz the 9th best player in this class? What did they love about his game? Strength. Korkmaz can be described as a natural-born scorer, the type of player is the dream of every coach. He's almost everything in his offensive dimension of the game and rarely struggles to score himself. Weaknesses. Defense is the developing part of his game. You can say that again. It's hard to say that he's a bad player defensively. It is. It's hard to say he's a bad player defensively. And of course, it goes on to talk about shooting and scoring and things like that. And still, a young player coming in as well, a 93 overall ranked player. Now, having said that, let's scroll and take a look at someone like, we'll leave Karis LeVert because this is probably just going to talk about injuries. So let's go and look at Malcolm Brogdon and talk about why he was all the way down here at 34 compared to Furkan Korkmaz at like number 8. They have him ranked as a 89 overall, obviously a older player coming into the league here. NBA comparison. Keith Bogans and Jason, who is Jason Granger? I have no idea who that is. So it's strengths, good pick and roll player, good size. Weaknesses, ball handling still needs work. Average athleticism, not an overly explosive player, lacks explosion at the rim. and does not have great burst or leaping ability. All things are very much true, but Malcolm Brogdon has done a really good job since he's come into the league of improving his jump shot off the bounce, can really attack the rim, is really strong and square. You're not going to knock him off balance. And over the years, we've seen a couple of really good players like this come into the league that don't need crazy athleticism in order to get to the rim on a consistent basis. And, that's one of the reasons why Malcolm Brogdon has had such a good start, to his career, despite being ranked all the way down here at 34. Now, let's look at Pascal Ciaco. Arguably, it's either him or Malcolm Brogdon, arguably the biggest steal of this class. He goes in the first round, I think 26, I believe, and Brogdon goes in the second round. The NBA comparison for Pascal Ciaco out of Cameroon, out of New Mexico State, is Jordan Mickey, who went to LSU and was irrelevant for the Celtics, and Luke Mbah-a-Moute, who, did a handful of things, I guess, in the NBA. Strengths, a high-energy forward with great length and solid all-around skill set, and a highly productive season at New Mexico State, putting up 20 and 11.6 as a sophomore. Shows tremendous defensive ability, utilizing his huge wingspan and quickness. So all defensive stuff here, which relates pretty directly to the Mbah-a-Moute thing. Weaknesses. Playing in a mid-major, it'll be tougher to convince teams that his numbers were legitimate and not enhanced by that level of competition. That's probably fair. Turned 22 in January, so there's some question about his upside. His overall skill set and feel for the game is solid. Offensive game is a little unorthodox. At times, his post skills can be too predictable, as he often likes to go over his shoulder on the block. Should look to develop a few go-to moves and improve upon his footwork. Now, one of the things that really helped Siakam was the development of a three-point shot here, and you can see that I'm shooting jump shots. Yeah, jump shot is all the way down here at 7, which is, lower than something compared to like quickness, size, defense, rebounding, and being more NBA ready. So Siakam certainly turned out to be a really, really good player. In contrast to someone maybe here towards the top, like for example, the highest rated true big in the entire class, Dragan Bender, who went 6 overall. Let's go and take a look at what they liked about Dragan Bender in comparison to someone like Pascal Ciaco. NBA comparison, Hedo Turkoglu, because we can't compare an international guy to an American player. You have to compare international guys, apparently. Strengths. Versatile player, can play both forward positions and occasionally at center. Although for now is considered a power forward, he has all the necessary elements to become a prototypical stretch 4 if he continues to improve. Weaknesses, not a great athlete. Limited leaping ability, not explosive enough to play as a wing at the next level, definitely not. At times, he looks like a perimeter player trapped in a big man's body, and ultimately, that was one of the issues with Dragan Bender, is that he never played like a big. He was an oversized wing that couldn't guard, and the shooting stuff never really translated either. Just another typical, international big that comes in the league, has perimeter skills, but does not, translate any of those things to the league. And unfortunately, Dragan Bender was a huge, huge bust out of this class. Again, in comparison to someone like Pascal Ciaco, people they liked the upside more, of course, and then they thought the shooting ability and the offensive skill set was going to translate, and of course it did not. And again, in comparison to someone like Marquise Chris, I'm sure we're going to talk about athleticism here. We're going to talk about leaping ability. We're going to talk about raw talent, none of which translated to the NBA. Let's look at our NBA comparison. Tyrese Thomas and Antonio McDyess. I actually think Tyrese Thomas is a pretty fair comparison, especially considering how Marcus Chris's career has turned out to this point. Strengths, a freakish athlete. One of our first things that they say is a freakish athlete, arguably the most explosive front court player in the draft and one of the best overall. Weaknesses, low rebounding output is the first thing that scouts mention when dissecting his game. Considering his physical gifts, his rebounds per game average should have been higher, even at 25 minutes per game. All those things were fair, didn't bring the offensive game that he needed to. Athleticism was pretty much all Marcus Chris brought with him to the NBA. And then the last comparison I want to make here among the big guys is, of course, Domantas Sabonis, who had a really weird rookie year, and basically the Thunder asked him to shoot threes because that's what they needed him to do, because they needed spacing. They didn't have any other shooters, and he took a lot of threes, and then he got to Indiana, showed his post game, and is now a really, really good all-star level big. NBA comparison being Luis Scola and Marc Gasol. That's actually pretty high praise. Strengths, high energy and passionate post player, always gives 100%, works hard on both ends of the floor. I think all those things have translated. Really strong core, low center of gravity, runs the floor extremely well for a big, extremely crafty around the basket. Now, we haven't seen anything to this point in the strengths category about the skills that Sabonis brings to the table. The ability to knock down occasional jumper, really good in the post, really good inside, face-up game, all that stuff. Weaknesses, average athlete. Yes, that is absolutely the case. Below average wingspan for his size. Being physical also has its downside, since at times he commits too many fouls. All those things are completely fair. The defense was not immediately translatable for Domantas Sabonis, but ultimately the skill set that he brought to the table has made him a really, really good NBA player. So it's just interesting now as we look back on all these different classes, the comparisons made between these players. And in some cases, the the scouting report was spot on. It's just how they translated that was a little bit questionable, right? But I think ultimately at the end of the day, this class has a lot of really good players: Simmons, Ingram, Brown, Heald to solid player, Sabonis, and then obviously Jamal Murray, Pascal Ciaco, Malcolm Brogdon. But it's interesting to take a look at guys like, Karis LeVert all the way down here at 22, behind players like Bryce Johnson and Damian Jones, Skylar Bessiere, Deontay Davis, Furkan Korkmaz. It's really, really tough to properly evaluate these guys at times for sure. It's just interesting to take a look back on these classes. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video with all those things said. If you are looking for any more content from me, you can check out the boxes on screen, like the video, check out the various tools at the bottom of the screen as my intern mentioned in the very beginning. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.